Holy Frank Sinatra and mid-century modern architecture, Batman. Welcome to Palm Springs, California. And I'd like to say it is a portrait of aviation new and old. But since that's an Airbus A320 right in front of us, it's more like aviation boring and interesting. And I'll leave it to you to guess which one is interesting. But I would say it's this specimen right here in glorious TWA colors, the FlyJSim 727-200. And today we are going to fly a DME arc. We are not going to go to any place Mr. Sinatra might go. Instead, we're just going to go to Victorville, which is about 65 miles away. And we are going to fly a instrument procedure that generally isn't flown much in the commercial world because a lot of airlines frown upon it because it's difficult. It's not crippling, but it's difficult. And although it's easier now that airplanes have FMCs, you can actually just plug something like this right in and it will just do it. But in raw data navigation, this would be complicated. All right, so what do we mean? So what we're going to do is we're going to fly an approach that calls for flying to a fix, making a right turn, and then joining a 12.2 nautical mile arc around to intercept the localizer. And there are two ways to do it. There is the first way, which most are taught, is the turn and twist method. And basically what you do is, let me just set this up like this. You set your your HSI here to 90 degrees to the station, with this arrow over here if you're turning to the left, here if you're turning right. And you turn and you wait for this to come in, and then you turn it another 10 degrees this way, and you turn this another 10 degrees, and you wait till it comes in, and then you turn this another 10 degrees, and this another 10 degrees, and on and on and on. That's called the twist and turn method. The other method is going to take advantage of the fact that the RMI needle points to the station, and that if we are on a perfect arc on a radial to the station, this is going to point at whichever wing we are turning towards. So we want to keep this needle off of our port wing, and as long as we keep doing that and we keep this right here at 12 point something miles, then we'll be golden. And basically, let me just set this back up to our outbound VOR, and I'll set this back up to runway heading. As long as we do that, we're golden. Now, as you can see right here, it says we intercept on the 089 radial at Apples, and I'll show you how we're going to get to Apples here. And then after this radial, we can come down to 5200. And at this radial, which is basically your leading radial, you can turn to intercept the localizer, and it should set you up just about perfectly. Now, this is 356 is where ultimately we're going to turn, and that means that not the head but the tail of this, because 356 comes out of here and we're turning into here, so we're going to want it so that this pointer is on our wing, and the tail of this is right about there. So that's what we'll do. Now, you might ask, how are we going to get there? And if you said, well, just plug Apples into your FMC, well, not today. Today, we're going to get here by doing this, because we don't have an FMC. We're going to fly outbound Palm Springs here. We're going to join the 329 radial outbound. We're going to fly that till 40 DME, and then we're going to get a soggy here, and we're going to join the 273, and we will come down from 11,000 to 9,000 feet at Apples, and Apples will be 23 nautical miles. From here, it will be more pertinently, since we'll be tuned into 109.05, it will be 12 miles from here, and at about 14 we'll start our turn. That might be a little bit early, but well, we'll eyeball it because we're going to travel a certain distance making the turn, and we want to arrange it so that this ends up on our left-hand wing. So let's see if we've got everything set up. 115.5 is Palm Springs, and that's set up. Course is set up. Our nav2 has got Victorville, and our first radial is going to be 273. That's set up. We've got Victorville in the standby here, and our localizer frequency in nav2 standby here. So let's blast on out of here. I'm sorry, it sounds like something out of Top Gun, which I have to say, am I the only one who hates that movie? Just a bunch of jumped up nonsense, and Tom Cruise is a douche, but that's another matter. Okay, we're gonna set our initial, well, it's actually gonna be our cruising altitude. Let's just see what our bugs want us to be. 4.85 on the trim. Let's just check our brakes, see if they work, and they do. All right, set our trim. Actually going to trim down a little bit. I noticed that the airplane's a little bit exuberant on the climb, as we all can be sometimes. Make our little sharp turn here, and look at this baby corner. Let this go. All right. Taxi down this rather long taxiway here. Being a 727, we do not need the whole thing. Shame on me for getting distracted there. This was built for 707s in the summertime, and Mr. Sinatra's Learjet. Just as we taxi a la Southwest here. Okay, brakes to RTO, good. We're squawking altitude for the moment. We'll squawk TARA in a minute. I suppose we can be good fake pilots here and turn our taxi lights on. It's about as bright a day as you could wish for. Winds are calm. And this is GPB 500, Greg Balson's scenery. It is available, or at least a version of it is, at xplane.org. You can also get in touch with him and send him a little bit of money and subscribe to all of his airports and get the latest updates on them. And I do recommend that highly because they're really nice pieces of work. And they are by and large free. All right, let's just check our controls here. I'm actually looking right there. Okay, that's all good. We'll stop taxiing like Southwest there. Set our parking brake. Do our FlyJSim things right here. I know, you would do them in the real plane too, so no reason not to. And make sure we're squawking what we need to be, and we are. And I think we're good to go. Let's make sure our pressurization switch is set to flight. Check our oil temps and pressures. Our flight engineer would do this ordinarily. And check our hydraulics, and we got them. All right, good. Check our approach end, check our departure end. We're good there. All right, shall we? I meant to hit the V, not the C. Hate when that happens. Okay, our flaps are set. Again, the procedure is going to be stabilize our engines, then set it to this EPR and check to see it's making the right pressures, check to make sure it's not over-temping. Slight forward pressure, relax it at 80 knots, and then let it go. Rotate in 2 stages, very gently at first and then a little more aggressively. And even though there is a departure procedure for here which involves flying, making a right turn, flying back to the VOR, and then climbing, since we have great climb performance here, we are going to just get the hell out of Dodge, and we're going to fly out devil may care. And I don't really want to be in go around, I want to be in heading. All right, so there we go, and I think that should do it. Okay, bring in the power, check, make sure it's stable, make sure nothing's blowing up, and nothing is, and now let's hit it. Okay, takeoff power set, maintain center line. Airspeed's alive. Okay, relax the forward pressure. All right, let's go flying. Okay, nice gentle rotation to start. And there we go. I'm going to fly runway heading for a moment. Now I'm going to just fly the flight director here. I'm actually just flying for a heading that'll avoid the highest of those peaks. And you can see we are climbing with absolutely no difficulty here. Trim's a little bit optimistic. All right. Go up to slats. Turn off our gear. There we go. Now I'm just going to set our speed bug right about to there, and I'm going to accelerate to that speed. Okay, out can come that notch, and we'll go into vertical speed now and heading select, and we'll capture that vertical speed. And as we accelerate, we'll first pull back to climb thrust. Nose will come down slightly, and now that we're at that speed, we'll switch into IAS hold, and we're going to start flying, heading to intercept, to join our radial. Now the other thing we're going to do is make sure we hit outcell so that we stop at 11,000 feet. Now look down, and we are going to set a heading right about there. And this is going to do 2 things. It's going to keep us away from the worst of the terrain, and it's going to fly us on an intercept towards this heading. Check our power. It is okay. Okay. We're going to wait for that to come in, which will not be long since we're very, very close to the station. Matter of fact, we probably should have flown outbound just a little bit more, because otherwise this intercept is actually going to be pretty abrupt. because you can see we're, what, 7.5 miles away from the VOR. And basically we're flying across it. But we'll wait for it to do its thing. And we'll make sure that we're enunciating what we need to enunciate, and we are 1,000 away. I'm not going to mess with lights and things yet until I get established on this radial, because that's really the more important thing. Okay, we're going to nose down. I'm going to start to trickle off the power, set more of a cruise power. Going to accelerate us up to about 250 knots, but not a lot more, because we're really not going very far, and I really don't want to go very fast. The whole idea being not to fly faster, there we go, than you can think. And if you know me, you know I don't think that fast. All right, so we're going to come in here, and actually that wasn't horribly executed. Come around here, and we'll catch this heading and catch that radial, and now we'll go into nav loc mode. Boom. Just make sure it doesn't do anything funny. We don't really need the flight director at all. All right, now we'll set our cruise power, and it's not much of a cruise, gotta say. Flaps are up. We're going to set this to our brake setting for when we land. I'm just going to keep the lights on. We're not going to screw with that. Make sure we're pressurizing, and we are. And that's about the size of it. Now, we are going to take this until we intercept the Victorville 273 at Soggy. 273 is set up. Let me make sure Victorville is tuned up. In nav2, it should be 109.05. It is. Let's see if we're picking it up. We just picked it up. Look at that. The needle's swinging, and Victorville is that way. And we're going a little too fast. And also my standby altimeter is set just a little bit off. There we go. All right, so we're going to take this to about DME 40. And I'm going to slow down a bit more because we're getting a little bit feisty here, a little bit sporty. Okay, 22, so we're about 17 miles from our turn, and you can see right now we are on an intercept course to it. So we're doing all the right things so far. And actually this is going to come in pretty quickly. So what I'm going to do now is just get on a heading. So I'm going to get back into heading select mode. Okay, that automatically enunciates. I'm on the exact same radial. Only now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip over to Victorville. I'm going to set the 273, and you can see that CDI is going to pop around right there, and we are there. Let's make our turn, and let's slow the hell down, because we're really moving too fast for comfort here. I'm going to do this all in heading mode. All right, we're going to set our new altitude, and now we can come down to 9,000 feet. It's going to come in here, and we're just going to use our heading bug to capture that altitude, to join the radial. Let's try that in English. Now again, we're going to take this to about DME 14 and turn right. And we're going to use the same frequency. only I'm only going to do it in nav 2 because I'm going to get our localizer tuned in. And let's actually start to go down. Hit out cells so we stay there. Roll off our power. And oh, you know what I've done? I've done it again. I've got my bug set wrong. There we go. Alright, we'll get some drag out. Okay, and we're going to join this monster here. Actually, we're going to go down precipitously here. I'm going to join this monster on the 089 radial coming out. So when this is pointing at right about there, we're going to make the turn. But first, let us get set on here. And I'm just going to bring our speed down to about there. And I know that that was not the smoothest bit of piloting. All right, let's get ourselves established here. That's better. Okay, get us in nav loc mode again. Make sure our altitude select is engaged, and it is. Get our speed brakes up and in. Okay, we're at 9 and we're slowing, so I'm just going to trickle in a little bit of power here. Going to get out our slats. All right, and we are getting close to that magical point where actually we can, let's see it, we can come down to 6,600 now. Get out cell. Do it in vertical speed mode. Alt cell is armed. Okay. And I have screwed something up, obviously. No, the 273, 23 miles. I'm on the 273. No, I think I'm fine. Because this is going to start to move as soon as we turn. Alright, I'm going to get a heading set right now, and we're going to make the turn. This time at 14 and a half miles. And I'm just going to bug that speed. I scared myself there. Okay, get into heading, select, come on, turn, turn, turn. Why aren't you turning? There we go. Okay, now the speed is going to bleed off as we level at 6,000. fine. Okay, we're a little outside the arc, but by the time we finish this turn, I suspect we're going to be almost perfect. Look at this. Okay, see that? Again, we're looking for this to be right off our left-hand side, and now I'm going to switch this to our localizer frequency. All right, let's see where we are. Okay, there we are, and we're perfect, almost perfect. I think we're going to be just about right here. All right. Get our speed brake set. Okay, there it is. We're just 13. I'm going to turn a little bit soon. I'm going to set our inbound course of 166 for our localizer. All right, we're still at 13. I'm going to turn a little bit more. You can see we're just keeping this on our left wing. Okay, we're just about right on speed. Okay, a little bit more. And we're looking for this needle be pointing at 176 where we can start to intercept the localizer. Okay, that's just about where we want to be. Okay, our speed is just about right. That's not what I wanted to do. 108.75, 108.75. All right, that's set up. Okay. Just fly a little more outbound here. Again, we're looking for the needle to be pointing right about here, and then the localizer should come alive too. Okay, look at that. Look, Ma, we're flying a DME arc. Get flaps 5 out, a little more power in. Again, the key here is I'm going to fly outbound just a little bit more here. Just a little bit inside. Okay, we'll get our landing speeds out. Flying a little nose high. I don't want to get the gear out just yet. All right, we're going to fly a little more outbound here. A little bit more. And again, we will switch into nav loc to grab the localizer. Okay, there we go. That's just about perfection. Need a little more power, a little more speed. There we go. All right, and just a little inside that arc. Fly outbound a little bit more. Trickle in a little more power. Technically, we can be, I think it's 1 nautical mile. And from experience on this, I know that being on the inside is a lot better than being on the outside, because there's terrain on the outside. Okay, fly a little bit more outbound here. Just going to turn this off. Okay, we're right back to 12. Come on in a little more. Okay, now there's our localizer, and you can see we're getting close. And now we can come down to 5,200 feet. slowly. Arm out cell. Okay. There we go. Okay, we're just about right on. And we'll descend a little bit more there. Roll out a little bit of power. And you can see we're getting closer to our localizer. As a matter of fact, we just are about to hit our lead in, and what that means is we can turn to intercept the loc, and as you can see, we're actually pretty darn close to our glide slope too. I'm going to turn this to nav loc mode. We'll roll off the power here. Going to bring out the gear. Bring out flaps 15. And let's see if it intercepts. Okay, come on, airplane. Can you do it? Well, maybe not. A little bit gentle there, but that's okay. And look at that, we're perfectly set up on the glide slope. I'm going to just hunt for the localizer there just a little bit. And here we are, getting fully configured. I'm just going to fly this. We are visual and we are good. So that is a DME arc. Let's just see if we can land properly here. Being good pilots and all, we should probably bug our landing speed, bug our approach speed actually, right about there. Let's try and fly this like good pilots. Just heads down for a little bit here. So the radar descent is almost perfect. Get our trim trimmed. This is deceptive because the runway is very long, but there's no terrain around it to really compare. So it looks shorter than it is. It is unspeakably long, as a matter of fact. And I am unspeakably out of trim. Go. Nice quiet hands, nice quiet airplane. Getting on center line would help. Now look at how long this is.
100, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
All right, a little butter to top things off here. Just disconnect the auto brakes and roll down to the end. Matter of fact, there's no excuse not to get fully cleaned up by the time you get to the end of this runway, because as you can see, there's a lot of runway. Probably should have just landed with idle reverse. But you know what they say, an idle reverse is the devil's, well, you know. So that more or less is how to fly a DME arc using an RMI. I don't pretend it was perfect, but I think you get the idea, and it certainly will help if you want to practice. Just do the things right I did right, and don't do the things wrong that I did wrong, and that's like that's Nobel Prize quality teaching right there, right? Yeah, I didn't think so. All right, anyway, on that note, in this graveyard of airplanes, and the mighty 7-2 is going to get the hell out of here as quickly as possible before the scrapyard gets any ideas. But on that note, so we pull up what next to some Iraq. Oh no, Eva Air. I'm sorry. Sorry, Eva. As we roll down to the end of the longest runway you're ever likely going to see. Thanks for watching again. And once again, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.